Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can't keep a good man down, and you can't keep me off YouTube, whatever that means. But I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. It's the New Cosmic Knowledge Channel. I want to talk to you about the agony of attachment. If you didn't just see the great show with Sandra D, our Serpent and Dove live program, boy, you missed it. And unless you watch it right now, you're not going to be able to see it again on this channel, because I'm going to put it on the Serpent and Dove channel, and it will be available exclusively on the Serpent and Dove channel. And I'm going to figure out how to broadcast live from the Serpent and Dove channel, PDQ. And once I do, all of our Serpent and Dove content will be over there on Serpent and Dove. Thank you, Tracy, for saying it was good. I think it was good too. And I'm talking to you about the agony of attachment tonight, and I'll be very frank and upfront with you. This came out of an hour-long discussion that I had with Derek Bros, Global Witness, who, by the way, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, with Jay Campbell and myself, special broadcast of The Last Stand. Let's talk about for a second, if we can, or maybe several seconds, let's go ahead and talk about the agony of attachment. And attachment theory is, and this is very fascinating, I didn't find this until right before I went live with the program, but attachment theory is a psychological model that attempts to describe the dynamics of long-term and short-term interpersonal relationships between humans, longer term than many of us have realized, sometimes 55 years long in my personal experience. Attachment theory is the idea that a child bonds with their caregiver. They become attached to this caregiver, and that these attachments are a motivational and behavioral system that directs the child to seek proximity with a familiar caregiver when they're alarmed, with an expectation they're going to receive protection and emotional support. And it's a tendency that is also found in primates. But if you're listening to this, it's something that gets built in us when we're babies, because we are so attached to our parents or our caregivers to give us the basic sustenance of life. You can't live as a baby human without somebody taking care of you. You just can't, because we're such a wreck when we're born, and some of us don't change much along the way. But attachment is something that happens in the cradle. We get attached to people. We get attached to a caregiver. We start bonding to this caregiver. And even though Paul said it, he ripped it off from somebody that wasn't an apostate, where it said, when I was a child, I spoke like a child and I thought like a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And attachment is a childish thing, but the problem is not enough of us put away the childish thing of attachment. When we become men, when we become women, we still carry this idea of attachment, and we still seek this idea of attachment. And the bottom line is, ever since you were born, you've had some attachment to someone. And now, even though you're grown, a lot of you still have attachment issues. And when I say a lot of you, I mean a lot of us. So what kind of things can you be attached to? Well, you can be attached to things. A lot of people are attached to things. I don't feel good unless I have this with me. I don't feel good unless I have that with me. A lot of people are attached to money. I don't feel good unless I have this amount of money. And really, you probably can't ever get enough to make you really feel good, because you're attached to it. You're attached to the money. You're attached to the things. You're attached to power. You're attached to status. Lately, our focus has been in interpersonal relationships, and specifically in intimate personal relationships. And we've been talking about the whole idea of being enmeshed or being yoked. And we've been talking about the whole idea of, at the beginning, the Elohim, the father and mother, made us male and female. And then along comes Christianity and Abrahamic religion, and they decide that the two should become one flesh. And then along comes the master and says, wait a minute, that's not the way that it was from the beginning. And the very basis of this whole attachment idea is that within the matrix, they want all of us as people to be attached to each other, because when we're attached to each other, that means we're interdependent, and that they can take out a whole bunch of people by just getting to one person. So when you have attachment, you've got all these areas here of intersection, and these areas of intersection are actually apertures through which people can be attacked. So it's no wonder they, attack, and that's why they want us to be attached. But the Christ said, and the Master said at the beginning, he made us male and female. And yeah, they were together, but they weren't attached. And then if we follow that pattern, you've got male and female, male and female, male and female, or maybe it's male and male, whatever it is. You see the difference? These people are divine, sovereign, and free individuals. These people, if you somehow hacked this one, it doesn't hack all the way down the line to this one. Whereas here, if you hack this one, he's connected to this one, connected to this one, connected to this one, connected to this one. You get everybody. And this is how the matrix is set up by people that are interconnected. This is the symbol of this should be the symbol of the matrix right here, because it's this interconnectedness among all people, this overlapping of all people, this enmeshment of all people that allows the enemy, the controllers of the matrix, to just enter one, and they've got you all. They've got all of us. And let me share a revelation with you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me share a revelation with you. There is coming a time, and we talked about this last night with Robert Stanley. Robert Stanley talked about hysteria, how one person walks into a building and starts acting with hysteria, and it becomes when you can catch it, contagious. And everybody starts getting and acting with hysteria. That only happens when you've got this kind of a situation on the planet where everybody's connected. And this is what they've tried to do. They've got us all connected. They've got all of us in each other's lives. They've got us all connected. We're interconnected, just like the internet, just like a network. And why do you have a network? Well, you have a network. One of the results of a network is a network can be hacked. So they've made us a network of people that can be hacked. And in the last days, when the move is made by the enemy to take over once and for all humanity and to try to destroy humanity and try to take humanity down, they're going to take advantage of this connectivity. Because what they're going to do is they're going to institute their hysteria virus into just one person or into a small amount of people. It looks like black goo, doesn't it? That's interesting. But they're going to just put it into one person, this hysteria, this fear, this worry, this Jesus is coming back, this aliens are coming, whatever it is. And it's going to get into just one person or just a small amount of persons. And it's going to go ahead and it's going to bleed through these apertures. It's going to bleed through these connectivities. It's going to bleed through to all of this. And all of a sudden, everybody is going to be connected. Or excuse me, everybody's going to be infected. If you're connected, you can be infected. If you're connected, you can be infected. And this just grows and grows and grows and grows, of course. And then all of a sudden, it's enough that we all go crazy, we die, whatever happens. If you're connected, you can be infected. Why do you think the master wants you to be divine and sovereign and free? Why do you think that in this big mission that we have to spread this message and to set the captives free, to help people become divine, sovereign, and free? That's the big message, right? That's our message. That circle represents our message. I've got a part in this, in carrying this message. Rex Bear's got a part in carrying this message. Jay Campbell's got a part in carrying this message. Sandra has a part in carrying this message. Derek of Global Witness has a part. Jenny Moonstone has a part. Heidi has a part. Trisha has a part. Malia has a part, and just so on and so on and so on, right? We're all pulling together and we're all doing this mission, but we're not interconnected. We don't have this attachment that these people have. So if one of us gets picked off or gets infected, it's not going to affect the rest of us. And conversely, the rest of us can help that one that gets infected. That's why the Christ said, those of you that are strong, restore the weak. I thought the Christian army was the only one that shot their wounded. So does the New Age army and the Alternative Information army. They shoot their wounded. And that's why when you're talking about on a relationship level, here's the big picture, right? Here's our big mission. I'm doing my mission. I'm feeling great about my mission. I don't care if there's anybody help me do my mission or not. Along comes Sandra and says, hey, I like your mission. I got the same mission. Why don't we join together and we'll do the mission together? Great. And that works out fine. And let's not make this Sandra and Jeff. Let's make this Bob and Sue. But what happens if Sue or Bob, let's say Bob decides he doesn't want to do this mission anymore? Well, that's okay. Bob can go his way because he doesn't want to do the mission, and Sue can stay right there, and Sue's still whole, right? Let's say for some reason that Bob gets infected with dumbitis or something. He loses his mind and Bob gets infected. Well, Sue's not connected, so she'll try and help, but Sue can go on and be divine and sovereign and free, even if Bob decides to go by the wayside, and Sue can still be involved in the mission, right? Sue can still be involved in the mission. Tracy asked a great question. This is enmeshment. This is interconnection. This is not good. We just talked about the universal law of oneness. The universal law of oneness is this right here. I'm divine, I'm sovereign, I'm free. I see that I can work with others, and we can work with others, and we can work with others. That's the law of one. We're all part of the same body doing the same work within this community. That's the law of one as it applies to this. So what is the agony of attachment? Well, if you are attached to things, you can never get enough things. And if you're attached to things, the agony is that you've always got to be watching your things. You've always got to be diligent about your things. Because what happens if somebody takes your things? If you're attached to money, you're always worried about your money. What if somebody takes your money? David, I believe it. You're attached. It's like Derek said to me today, it's like if you have a garden, right? You got a garden and you got some potatoes out there, you got some tomatoes, you got some beans, you got a nice, like a 50-yard garden or something. It's a nice garden. Well, there's two ways you can deal with your garden. You can water it, you can weed it, you can feed it, and you can do what you can, and you just let it go and let it grow. Or you can sit out there in a chair 24/7 and watch over your garden. Make sure nobody gets it. And while you're sitting there in that chair, a tornado can come and destroy both the garden and you. And if you're attached to the garden, the loss of the garden can take you down. I remember when I lived in a beautiful house on the shores of Lake Tahoe. I remember when I made $400,000 a year. I remember when I was winning awards for being the best salesman in Marriott. I remember driving the Land Rover and spending the money and wearing the Rolexes. And I remember being attached to that lifestyle. And I remember going to work at 9 and getting home at 9 and having checks with 5 zeros in them and still not being happy. It's the agony of attachment. And then when I detached and just became myself, living in a trailer, driving a bicycle first, then moved up to a motorcycle, then moved up to a PT Cruiser, and now I got me a Lincoln, but there's no agony of attachment. If a PT Cruiser breaks down, it broke down. If it's a Lamborghini that breaks down, it's a whole different perspective, isn't it? It's an agony of attachment. If your PT Cruiser breaks down, okay. If your Lamborghini breaks down, now you got some attachment issues. Now you got some agony, right? If my trailer needs to get a new roof, it's not really agony because I'm not attached to it. I only paid like $5,000 for the thing. I can put a new roof on it for $500. But if I've got a mansion and it needs a new roof, that could be some agony. And let's face it, if a hurricane comes through here and blows this trailer away, I'm out $5,000. If a hurricane comes and destroys your mansion, you're out $500,000 or $5 million. It's an agony to be attached. If the stock market crashed tomorrow, I probably wouldn't even know it for a few days. I ain't got any stocks. If gold crashes, if silver crashes, if Bitcoin goes away, I wouldn't even know it. If the dollar failed, I probably wouldn't even know it for a few days. I don't have any agony of attachment. If you're into Bitcoin and you're into all this money and you're into the market, you would know it because you got agony of attachment. Not saying that's bad. Have that stuff, but don't be attached to it. The master said, he who the sun sets free is free indeed. And this is how he made us in the beginning, unattached, divine, sovereign, and free. And it's the same way when you're in a relationship. If you're in this, there's going to be some agony of attachment, I guarantee you. Because this comes with expectations. This comes with disappointments. This comes with arguments, because this is, let's see if I can do this. This is E-G-O. You probably can't see it, but that's ego there in the middle. That's ego. The whole idea of wanting to attach is egoic. The whole idea of wanting to own is egoic. The whole idea of wanting to dominate is egoic. Women submitting to men, egoic. And that's where the problems come in. I counseled people for 20 years, and I never had one person say to me, I'm leaving him because he made me feel too divine, sovereign, or free. I'm leaving her because she allowed me to be who I am. I never heard that. I did hear a lot of, I'm leaving him because he wants to dominate me. I'm leaving her because she won't leave me alone. She nags. She won't let me be my own person. I heard that all the time. It's the agony of attachment. And if you've got attachment in your relationship, it's just a matter of time before you're going to have agony. It's just a matter of time before you're going to have agony, because agony is part and parcel of this attachment. If you don't want to have agony, your relationship has to look like this. That doesn't mean it's always going to be easy down here. It just means it's not going to be agony. And if the worst agony of a relationship comes, if the worst agony of a relationship is actually realized, and one of these circles decides they don't want to be with the other one, this circle's still whole, right? This circle's still whole. If this circle up here decides that she doesn't want to be with this other circle anymore, and she takes off, look at what he's left with. Or she's left with, if it's a same-sex couple, they're left with this. A big gaping hole. They look like a Pac-Man. What would you rather be? I feel like I can't make it. I feel like my life is ruined. Why do you feel that way? Well, you feel that way because you've had a big, huge chunk of you taken out. Because you weren't whole. Now, that's not what we want to have happen. But if the worst comes, you're still going to be okay. Here's the big point, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get attached to your money. Don't get attached to your things. Don't get attached to your money. And don't even get attached to your honey. Be dedicated to your honey. Be devoted to your honey. Have love for your honey. And the greatest love is that you allow your honey to be divine, sovereign, and free. And your honey allows you to be divine, sovereign, and free. And as long as both of you are divine, sovereign, and free, you will never suffer the attachment agony. Because this is the picture of true love. This is the picture of true love. And let me tell you another lie from the Bible. No greater love has any man than to lay down his life for his brethren. Bull crap. No greater love has any man but to allow his fellow man to live divine, sovereign, and free. They don't need you to lay down your life for them. They just need you to let them live their life their way. And until you know the bliss and the joy of unattachment, I'm going to show you graphically what you worry about when you've broken all attachments in your life. I'm going to show you what you worry about. Are you ready? When you've broken the attachments off your life, all the attachments off your life, here's what you worry about. Are you ready? You don't worry about a thing because you're not attached to anything. You want to see what you worry about when you go to sleep at night, when you break all attachment? You want to see what you worry about when you get up in the morning, when you break all attachment? You want to see what your spouse worries about when she wakes up or he wakes up in the morning, when she's with a spouse that allows her to, or he's with a spouse that allows him to live divine, sovereign, and free? You know what those kind of couples argue about? You know what can stop those kind of couples? You know what the intimacy of those kind of couples is like? What's the intimacy of those kind of couples? I'm trying to draw an explosion. I can't draw an explosion. The agony of attachment, or the bliss of being divine, sovereign, and free. It's up to you. You can have either one you want. You can have either one you want. DSF jewelry, that's not a bad idea. Might have to work on that. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is New Cosmic Knowledge. We're trying to bring you some new cosmic knowledge that'll help you make yourself into the life into the person that you want, create yourself, and build a life that you'll love. Unindoctrinate yourself. It is an inside job. The divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. That's about the 5th time that Love Languages book is coming up in the last couple of days. It's something really to read. I salute you for being here seeking after truth. And I got to find a good way to do this. I do wish you all love and light from the bottom of my heart. And that's interesting because, you know, that things, the bottom of the heart is where all the creation is. That's kind of good. Love and light to all of you. I'll see you again probably tomorrow for the morning mantra. For Sandra D, I'm Jeff Daugherty. serpentanddove.org, rawreflections.org, jeffreydaugherty.com. Thank you so much to the greatest chat room on the YouTube planet. We're the last generation of real humans. Let's get busy.